Thank you, everyone. Finally, Bliss Medical Center has been exonerated from all charges of liability. All right, good day. My name is Esosa, Mr. Esosa. I am the administrator of Bliss Medical Center. We are coming on air to actually respond to a misinformation that has been flying around by Praise Mumbo. Praise Mumbo and the wife was made known to us sometime last year when the wife was heavy of the child in question. We actually carried out antenatal care for the child. But when it was time for the delivery, we didn't see them. February this year, February 6th to be precise, they brought the child who had already been born, and the child was critically ill. And we asked them, why have we not seen you? Where was the child born? They told us that the child was born at home by tradomedical practitioners, and we scolded them. But anyways, we took care of the child. The PCV of the child was 15%, and we informed them that a transfusion needed to occur ASAP. He agreed. We then sent for a blood from the blood bank, and because of the unavailability of our lab scientists, we took the blood. The blood was taken to a lab scientist who we had before now had arrangements with to screen the blood and to cross-match a sample of the child to be transfused to ensure that the blood is compatible with the child. And when he did that, the lab scientist in question has been in practice since 1995. He's a lab scientist of a private hospital in that our space. And that was what informed our decision to use him. After conducting the screening, he came up with a report that stated that the blood is free of any known diseases, HIV1 or 2, HBS and all that. And that was what gave us the confidence to transfuse. It is there. There's no doctor in the world that will, transfuse or carry out a treatment without knowing what is wrong. And it is done by a lab scientist. We did that. The second time, come May 5th, to be, around that time, when they brought the child again, at this time, when they brought the child was so sick, the PCV was now 11%. And they brought a lot of drugs. And we asked them, where did you get all these drugs from? It means you guys still visit tradomedical practitioners. We warned them of the risk. And just like we did the first time, we transfused. The blood was gotten from a blood bank, taken to a lab scientist who screened it. And, we transfused. Only for them to come up with the accusation. And we told them it's not correct. We brought out the case file and we checked. We reached out to the lab man, the lab scientist, and he said he is very sure of what he did. We wrote to Ministry of Justice and to Ministry of Health to please carry out an investigation because all that we needed to do, we did them. Thankfully, Ministry of Health sprung into action. They went to the lab. They didn't contact us while they were doing their investigation because from the documents before them, we are not liable because we carried out the transfusion based on the document the laboratory gave to us. They contacted the lab who took the scientists took them to the blood bank. Remember, the blood bank and the laboratory, they are different. He took them to the blood bank. The Ministry of Health moved to the blood bank, got their register because any blood that is transfused, there is a code that can be traced to the donor. Those complaining don't know about this. They felt if they just complain, we would admit. Not knowing that as bad as we might think the healthcare in Nigeria is, there are some basic things that can still be investigated. And so when they traced it, the initial report was that they were negative. But Ministry of Health said, because initially when the matter came up, we showed Ministry of Health the documents from the lab that we transfused based on this. They said that is not enough. That they might not be investigating us now. They should investigate if the lab man actually screened. And they did, and it was negative. They said no, they were going to take it for a more advanced test. We said no problem. And that test is called, I think, the ELISA method for HIV test. And that is what we've been waiting for. And while we were waiting for this, they had gone to the police station. The police invited us. We explained. Police were shocked because what they complained and what they said was different from the reality. The police were shocked because they never mentioned anything about lab, that a lab was involved. And when the police saw this, they said, well, we are not medical practitioners. Let us wait for the report of Ministry of Health. They formally wrote Ministry of Health to show that they were interested in the matter. And while we were waiting, they went all over social media, went to ITV, and started trying to whip up public sentiment. And anyone who hears it will say, oh, this hospital is quack. And we have asked them if it's incompetence you are accusing of. Several times the Ministry of Health have visited our site, our facility. They have never met a quack. It is always trained doctors and trained nurses. So the issue of accusation of incompetence is out. Is the accusation of negligence? We did everything that any hospital would do. You get the blood, you screen it. And we did that. We paid the lab scientists who screened. So if you are accusing of negligence, it is out of the question. And so while we were waiting, they went to public and they were shouting. And of course, anyone who hears that a baby was transfused with HIV blood will be outraged. We were to come out. Our lawyer asked us to remain calm and wait for the outcome of the report. Thankfully, on Monday, 4th of August, the Commissioner of Health called all the parties involved and unveiled the results that the donors have been tracked down and they are negative. So that totally vindicates the lab scientist who was under investigation to know whether the screening he claimed to have done for the blood was valid. And by extension, it has exonerated us totally, Save Bliss Medical Center. It shows that the HIV virus, as allegedly contacted by the baby, was not gotten from the blood. As a matter of fact, at the police station, they also said that because when the baby was brought, we also conducted a test to know that the baby was SS, sickle cell. And that's because both parents are AS. When we are at the station, they say they've done another test, genotype test for the child, and the child is not SS, trying to discredit all that we were saying. But thankfully, at the meeting on Monday with the Commissioner of Health, they admitted. So I don't know where they are conducting their test. Probably they should go back to check again if that child is truly HIV positive. And so in that meeting, the Commissioner of Health, vindicated us by saying the donors that were traced are HIV negative. So we don't know where that child allegedly got that virus from. So I want to say that by this, we have totally been exonerated. We will revisit those who heard what they were not so sure about, those who, bloggers who blogged it, activists who carried it without proper verification. We will revisit all those. But we want to state that end this by thanking the relevant authorities, starting with the Attorney General, who is the head of the Ministry of Justice, thanking him for writing to the Ministry of Health to know the outcome. We also want to thank the Nigerian police force, who despite the outcries, despite the pressure, they stuck to investigation. The DC in particular, I don't know his name, but he's very calm and calculated. Then lastly, we want to thank the Ministry of Health, ably led by the Honorable Commissioner, Honorable Dr. Cyril Oshomole, who despite all the pressure, he proved to the world that the ministry is capable of conducting an investigation and arrived at a valid conclusion. And it was after he had done that, he put the report aside, which exonerated us, and I know some benevolent act that he portrayed towards the child. I might not be at liberty to say it here, but he brought out the humanitarian aspect of him, and he did some certain things and even promised to do more. It is on that premise that we are saying, because the child is innocent, irrespective of the negligence of the parents, and we are now using this medium to appeal to the general public. Anyone who want to render assistance to that child is just too young. Please do so. We will be happy if that child is assisted. But we didn't fail to prove our point, to show that Save Bliss Medical Center is not liable in any form, and it was proven by the investigation carried out by the Ministry of Health. I want to thank our sympathizers, those who have been calling, our patients who have stood by us right from day one and clearly stated that they know that this is not our fault and we are not liable. Thankfully, the results have shown that we are indeed not liable. I want to also give a message to those who complained. Because while we were at the police station, they castigated the Minister of Health, the Commissioner of Health. They rubbished the investigation done by the Ministry of the Ministry of Health, and they said it clearly that it was a rubbish investigation they were doing. And despite all this, the Ministry of Health heard their piece, came up with the outcome, and have delivered judgment. I also want to tell them to please, as against next time, try to verify facts, because I believe they looked at all the possible places where they visited, looked at the chemist where they get all those drugs from. Because when they will come with lots of drugs, and we'll keep scolding them. Why will you take them to these places? They are not safe. As a matter of fact, what the complainant, Praise Mumbo, always failed to include is that when we were to refer the baby to those specialists, we were the ones who took them there. And the reason for that is because the grandmother of the baby, who is the mother of Praise Mumbo, was insisting that they wanted to take the child back to tradomedical practitioners where they always visit. Because we didn't want that and we didn't want the child to die, so we were the ones who took them there to those specialists. They failed to mention that. They failed to mention that it was a laboratory that conducted the screening. They don't include those parts. They know that when they do that, people will question them. And for those who, listen to them with skepticism, I want to thank you, because so many persons reached out to us and said they complained that the police is here to make arrests. And they said that they know that if the police have not made arrests by now, then it means what those people are saying is different from the reality on ground. And that is what it has played. That's what has played out. So I want to thank everyone for your concern. I want to say clearly that please do not fail to reach out, if you can, to the baby who is innocent, despite the negligence of the parents. Thank you, everyone. Finally, Bliss Medical Center has been exonerated from all charges of liability. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Report from the investigation they carried out so far showed that the donors through which those bloods that were transfused to the patient was negative, and that shows that the blood that was transfused was negative.